Hi, friends. It's Sarah May B, and this is an episode of Help Me Be Me. Today's episode is about protecting your libido. And I know that word is often used to refer to like sexual desire, but it is a term that was created by Freud and it refers to psychological drive. The way I'm using it in this case is energy for life, like energy for life satisfaction. And in its history, the word has referred to, drive in terms of ego, but also like nature, like as in caring for children. Jung actually used the term to refer to psychic energy in general. And the term energy is what I would call a motive or a desire or an impulse towards something. And it's something that can be kind of tapped into or unlocked and channeled towards something. It's kind of your appetite for an outcome in your life. And so, in this episode, what I'm talking about is thinking about what is tapping that energy, what is fracturing that energy, what is possibly stealing that energy from you, because it's a finite resource within us. And we need to be conscious in how we channel it and make sure that we're channeling it toward that which is most important to us. And and to do that, I think first of all, we just have to look at that. Like look at like where is my energy being kind of taken from me? Where is it being kind of distracted from me? Where is it kind of getting stuck? Where am I being thwarted? And then we have to become more strong and consistent in how we create a container for ourselves to bring forth our truest goals. And I think it's very easy to kind of be tricked into unconsciousness, to kind of succumb to like a repetitive pattern where we end up being thwarted in what we want. And we didn't really fully consciously decide that. It was just like we kind of went with a flow of sorts. And often it is very hard to access that energy of like our truest drive, our libido, because we can't create enough clarity and space for ourselves to even know what that is. Like we can't even hear it because we're clouded by distractions, stress, a substance, a relationship. We're preoccupied by another person in our life. So this is for starting to become way more conscious and focused and deliberate and protective of that energy and just waking up, I guess. I know that for myself, I feel like my energy gets stolen often by way more achievable and or automatic kinds of tasks like with work, with my phone, and I feel like I can tell that it's not as important, but in some part of myself, because it's kind of like giving me this little gush of like winning, I like can't help but fall into it. And I know that like a lot of what we get sucked into is like we're being automated. We're being kind of controlled by interfaces, by habits, by the little gushes of chemicals that are created in our brain. And when you get pulled into that stuff, it can feel like a very toxic current, and yet we can't seem to stop it, you know? It steals us away. So if you feel like that's a condition that's happening in your life, like this is your life, reclaim it, get back your life's drive, and whatever condition in your life is stealing you away from your goals, I beseech you to be active in that fight because years can go by and you're not even paying attention. It's like it goes by like this. So call this life energy forth into your present mind and be active in the struggle, be active in the fight and the conflict to to reclaim it. Even if it means that's unpleasant for the time being, know that that friction is just a step in the process of change. Like being in that struggle is how we force change to come about by saying, no, I don't like this. I want that. I really want that. I've always wanted that. I just want to try and get to that. Being active in the motion of solving and not in the unconsciousness of acceptance. That is how planets in our life move. So with that, this is a three-part episode. There is the what, the why, and the how, the tools. Part one, the what. Well, oftentimes our libido, our life energy is stolen by our our own feeling of incompleteness or a feeling of like hunger, of loneliness, of that there's that like kind of ache. You might feel a little like twinkling of an ache in your stomach in some area of your life. Maybe you feel lonely or you feel insecure or you might actually have like a craving for a food or a substance. Whatever it is, you feel this need to fill a void with something. And oftentimes we go to content or we go to an automated thing like scrolling or a relationship. So that feeling of searching or needing something, this is often when we have not curated conditions in our life, like that safe container, to have a protected, conditioned, habitual space that allows us to channel our energy toward our goal. And that is just because it's like a habit. We haven't trained in that structure just yet. And when you feel pulled by that emptiness, by that void, we end up fracturing our energy deliberately. So, like, you might find that you're like, I need attention. I'm feeling empty. I need attention. So, you'll go to like, whatever, message a person or post a photo or whatever the thing is. It's like we're looking for that solve for that feeling. And if that sounds like you, I just want you to become aware of that feeling in yourself. I call it like shopping. My brain is shopping for a chemical gush. It's searching for something to get an easy fix. It doesn't want to do something hard. It doesn't want to be in the feeling of like whatever it is, the inconvenience of the emptiness. And so it's looking for something to latch onto that will then occupy a very substantial amount of time so that I can just go unconscious again. It's like an energy saving instinct. And when you have that drive in yourself, in that moment, it will feel like I just want to do something easy. I just want to have a feeling that's easy to access. And often that whatever that thing is that we're filling our fulfilling the feeling with is probably not so unhealthy. Maybe it's something like I'm going to write a to-do list. It's not exactly aligned with what we actually wanted to use the energy for, but it's something that is allowing us to save energy and not challenge ourselves too much because creative energy is so taxing. It's so pure. It takes such effort to get to it. It's such a vulnerable kind of state that it feels like it's challenging and it feels like it's highly draining. And therefore, some part of ourselves is trying to protect us from it. Like thinking like, I don't want to have to go there. To be that open and be that vulnerable feels hard. It's not that it's unpleasant though. It's not that we don't like it. It's just like some conditioning in our body is saying like, I'd rather just go into unconsciousness. I'd rather go into energy saving mode. Creativity takes such a delicate and exhausting source of fuel. And it's not that it's not wonderful and amazing and profound, it's just resource intense. So know that when your body's in that reactive state of like, I just want to go unconscious, I want to fill this hole, it is not at all tied to the actual reward and benefit of activating toward that higher goal. That higher goal is quite literally one of the most rewarding, will be the most rewarding thing you do in your life. It will leave such an incredible mark on who you are. It will define who you are. It will make you feel so gratified and defined. So it's like it's truly life changing. It's truly the most fulfilling of all missions in your entire life and satisfaction on a whole new level. So it's like, don't stop remembering the goal. Don't stop remembering where that little twinkle in the back of your mind is saying, I really want to try this thing. I really want to go do that thing. Like you will absolutely go there. Just don't forget. Don't forget that you want to go there. It's not that it's something you don't want. It's just something that like you haven't been able to channel your energy toward yet because of all the things I just described. Part two, the why. I think a lot of what we're navigating in our life is these two kind of like default operating systems in ourself, which is we're chasing a high or we're chasing a reward. And we're trying to chase a feeling of enoughness. Like I think there's an underlying current in a lot of creative people and people in general that is like feeling we're not enough and that we're not that good and that what have we done lately? It's like that feeling of emptiness or that baseline of like, but what do I have to show for it? That kind of feeling in many ways is what we're trying to avoid confronting. And some part of us is like, I don't want to go toward that goal because then I'm gonna fully realize like, oh, I am not good. Like that's the fear. That's the unconscious fear. Is like, don't go toward it, then you won't have to know that. So I think knowing that that's kind of like the unconscious resistance, we have to, in my opinion, go straight into that feeling and embrace it. Like, really, just as soon as you feel that trigger of that, either it's like loneliness or emptiness, like that hunger or that, I need to complete myself somehow. As soon as you have that feeling, we have to just allow it to be in us and be like fully in the quality of it, like allowing it to just move through our person, and then it can eventually pass. I think there's a part of us that thinks that that feeling will be too much for us, and therefore we have to run like hell from it. And if you do have that feeling, I'm guessing that there was a stage in your life when it was too much and you did have to run like hell from it. And if that is true for you, if there was a time in your life when you really couldn't deal with the feelings of pain that are inside your body, then know that if you haven't done the work on that feeling, there's there are many, many tools that you will collect for your tool belt that will allow you to traverse that pain and survive it. Too many tools to list here, but like therapy is a great starting point. And if you are a person who has done lots of work on that feeling and you have overcome that feeling, and so now you feel like you're a strong enough functioning person, know that if you are able to use your tools and you are balanced and functioning, then what can happen in your adult life, totally unbeknownst to you, is that that subtle trigger, that subtle texture of that old feeling will kind of guide us, unbeknownst to us, away from things that we actually truly want and can 100% achieve. And I know that feeling super well. I know that like that little twinkling so well because it duped me for a really long time into a chronic state of avoiding things, like a really chronic state of like, oh no, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I maybe one day I would have, but not anymore. And that's a lie. Like I want you to become super aware of maybe you're kind of choosing because your brain's default to choosing, but like that's actually probably not aligned with what you're capable of and what you actually want in your real life. A lot of us avoiding that feeling is us thinking, I don't want to have to feel pain. And usually what we do is we fill it with a distraction like a relationship, a distraction like drinking, a distraction like crappy food or shows that we don't really care about. And so now what I'm asking you to do is just recognize the feeling when it comes up, the emptiness, and just get super present with it. Just kind of welcome it in and let it sit in your body and look at the time it takes for it to dissipate. Just kind of like move straight through it. Sometimes that means I'm doing something to help it pass through my body, like yoga at night or going for a walk. Sometimes I'm taking a hot bath, meditating. The core of the thing I'm asking you to do is really recognize that the feelings pass. We don't need to do anything to assuage them. We don't need to fill that void with anything other than just allowing the energy to go through us and knowing that we can survive it. seeing that it dissipates pretty quickly. When I have a feeling that's haunting me, like that's like a feeling of I need. And as soon as my brain starts to go to that shopping, I'm shopping to fill it with something. As soon as I notice that process, I try and ask myself in a journal, if I can't pass it just on its own, what I do is I try and go to my journal and I ask, what am I afraid of feeling right now? What is my brain trying to avoid accepting? It's usually a sense of dread of knowing something. We don't want to know something. And the thing we don't want to know is usually something like a little kid feeling, something very small and sweet, and then we can kind of know it and welcome it, and then it goes away. It's like we kind of circumvent this whole other process of like creating a project that will draw a lot of energy and time from us by just going through straight through the feelings. Separate from that, I did want to bring up if you are a person who is struggling in your life with a predicament like a conflicting relationship, a person in your life who is causing you a lot of mental energy, like they're kind of squatting on your brain. You're constantly thinking about them. You're constantly thinking about their problems, how they're mad at you, what they think of you. So I would call that a person that is like taxing more than they are fulfilling or more than they are supportive, they're draining to you. That is a huge, it'll bleed out your energy so much. And it also, if it's a person that's constantly, if you're constantly in their thoughts in your mind, like throughout your day, you can think of that as almost having a job, like having a full-time job of like, I'm not only in my thoughts, I have a job of reading their thoughts. And I'm constantly anticipating their future thoughts and replaying their past ones. And I'm modeling situations around them and what they might do. And like that in itself is such a huge fracture of energy and thinking that their thoughts for them, reading their mind constantly. So you won't, in that state of being, have access to your own opinion, your own gut, your own thoughts, your own feelings. You won't know exactly what you think, feel, or want because quite literally a part of you is stolen by this project of this other person. So if that sounds like you, I'm sure you don't like being in that habit. You have some work to do in the area of codependency. I'm going to put some books in the show notes that are the same books I put in every other show notes because I love them so much. And know that it's a very positive, healthy process. And it starts with just simple awareness and then using tools and practicing them like they're your own and like they feel natural until one day you watch how they make you healthier and they make everyone healthier. And then you finally trust them enough to relinquish the job of controlling. So check out the show notes for that. Which brings me to part three, the how, the tools. But first, a brief word from our sponsors. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Okay. All right. The first tool is called pregnant zagging. This tool has nothing to do with actual pregnancy. Just want to let you know that. Um, so when you are in a stage of traversing feelings of loneliness and or filling the emptiness, that bottomless pit feeling, there's a moment right when we have the trigger and we're about to reach for the drug, whatever the drug is. Your brain wants to get lost in a new project and just go unconscious again. And so what I invite you to try in that moment is just a very pregnant pause of any shape or form that allows you to zag. So instead of like going the direction of the trigger, do something in a totally unrelated direction. And I invite you to just let your body choose that thing. There's a whole other operating system that is not your brain that has a deeper wisdom and kind of knows what to do if we can just stop thinking. So your body might suddenly like grab your jacket and walk out the door. Or your body might suddenly call somebody and get in the bath. Or your body might do something like pull out a cookbook and start to make a recipe. Whatever it is, the goal in that moment is just to stretch out, delay the habitual response as much as you possibly can. As soon as the trigger arises again and you remind yourself of the trigger, you do the same thing. Pause, stretch out the delay, distract, delay. Because so much of what we do in response to like light triggers is just a habit. It's just like an automated thing we've done for a really long time, and we don't actually really like it most of the time. And nor do we choose it consciously. It's just the thing we have done for a long time, so we just are kind of falling into it. They're like currents, and they can take over so much of your life because they have all of these corresponding things that kind of relate to them, but they don't necessarily align with what we want or what is best for us. We might actually hate the habit itself, but some part of us is thinking we just can't let go of it because we're like, but I always do that thing and I'm so used to doing that thing. So, an example of that is like if every single day if you had like sugar in your coffee, and this is kind of a bad example because sugar is kind of like a pleasant thing. If you flossed every day at a specific time, that would become something that your body felt was correct and that you should do it. Like your body would start to crave it no matter what it is. That's just like how our bodies work. So know that there are certain habits that I would call cornerstone habits that cost you a huge amount of your life force. So, for example, drinking every day. Drinking every day is something that, like, I feel like has such a mind altering and energy altering result that can cause us like it brings down your energy level so dramatically, or smoking every day. Like the amount of effects that that has on other areas of your life, not sleeping. I mean, these are all like no duh, but I think once you can take stock of like the moment I have the trigger and like really think about, do I like this thing when I'm doing this thing? Like becoming really conscious in the moment. I noticed for myself, like there were certain times back in the day when I was drinking and I felt like this feels like a chore. Like I don't actually even want, I recognized it in the moment. I'd be like, I don't actually really want to drink right now. And yet I was kind of, it was a compulsion to do it. So these are the types of habits I'm inviting you to just loosen their grip and become conscious and kind of stretch that time out and slow it out. Related, next tool, hate savers. This is something I put in a podcast about binge eating. But like when you're in the act of something that is kind of an unconscious, like you're forcing something so your brain will shut off and so chemicals will kind of like gush in your brain and your body. There is something that is so powerful about really becoming fully aware of the hate. This is how you kind of condition your brain to stop craving things. As soon as you have like an association that is like viscerally negative, as soon as you have a trigger, you'll be able to remind yourself instantly by default, oh yeah, I hate that thing. An example of this is like in the morning, if I woke up hungover, I could wake up and be like, okay, I'm really gonna really savor how much I hate this feeling and how I really don't think that this is worth the experience I had the night before. Like this feeling is so unpleasant. I'm so tired. My body is not feeling good at all. I have no energy. Like really take stock of that. Enjoy, like really remember, mark it in your body. Because as soon as you make that association concretely, like the next day you're like, oh yeah, I can choose based on tomorrow now. I can choose based on like that balancing scale. It takes a minute. It takes a minute to like become super, super conscious in this. And eventually you'll have way more perspective and like grounded in something that's like consciousness versus reactivity. All right, next tool, taking stock of the fracture. So I'm sure I've thrown out like so many different things, but I'm sure there are like probably a couple of different sources of the fracture of your energy in your life right now. And for us to harness it, I think we have to just be in awareness. So this is for this tool, I'm inviting you to take stock in your journal, and just ask yourself, what in my life deserves review? What in my life is taking taking from me? Like that is not my highest priority. It could be, you know, an unconscious habit of like phone abuse. It could be a person in your life that is constantly interrupting you, or somebody else's needs that are always coming before yours. Just jot anything and everything down, whatever comes to mind. And then after that, I would just go through and highlight the main figures in this drama that is libido theft. And I'm guessing that there are exact moments in your life, in your recent history, where you wanted to harness your energy and instead you were thwarted. Like there's that feeling of being frustrated on your path towards something. It's like, ah, it's like a feeling of powerlessness that like sticks in you. So I just want you to jot those down as well. All right, the next tool, collect enoughness. To quote Cool Runnings, if you're not enough before the gold medal, you're not enough with it. And the reason I brought that up is I think the emptiness is the emptiness. The emptiness we have inside is our emptiness, and nothing we achieve will ever fulfill it. So, this is an invitation to really just set a goal for yourself to really start a friendship with yourself with that goal as the truest intention. We have to start with an acceptance of whatever we feel about ourselves. Like, I accept that I feel insecure. I accept that I feel unlovable, whatever the thing is. And then just set a goal to confront that feeling and genuinely build a friendship with yourself. That intention, not even like the outcome, I'm just saying the intention itself is one of the deepest sources of comfort, safety, and happiness. Just that I chose to become a friend to me, and I meant it with my actions. Like I showed it with my actions consistently over the course of life. That choosing to be nice to yourself and be kind to yourself and build a relationship like a friend would from a true and a heartfelt place is the core of happiness. It is, and fulfillment. It is it will carry you to like every place you ever want to be. So that's that tool. Next tool, my space embrace. Not MySpace, the dated photo website. My just an embrace of your space. So amazing things happen when you hold space for just where you are and not in solely fixating on the plan for the future. I feel like so much of goal setting is just like that one day when I get that one thing. There's so much greatness happens when we just really embrace where we are with honesty and with compassion and just be there regardless of what it means. And we become active, we become present, and we just move through the shit. We start trudging through the shit. And I feel like that is kind of the most comforting ways to be, especially if shit's bad right now. So if you have like a relationship that is complicated, that is taxing, or maybe that's a relationship with a person or a substance or a thing about yourself that you don't like. If you're in a sick situation of any kind, I like to say just be on the battleground so that you're not changed by the sickness. And by that, I mean, if it's not right, like stay in the truth, even though it makes it unpleasant and even though it like causes friction and it makes you feel like bothered by that thing, like be in that action, be in the action state and moving through it. Because if we pretend like nothing's wrong and we just avoid it, that is like how the sickness just starts to erode at who we are and become natural to us, and we start to learn how to tolerate things better. So we just get sicker and weaker and less self-loving. So Know that if you have a goal of health, you have a goal of this dream in your future, if you can just stay focused on that target, you're on a path toward it. Energetically, you're already moving toward it, even if you can't see what's happening. It's arranging itself around you, and you will find that doors open toward solutions. You just have to start traversing time, but the doors will open. So the main note of this tool is just to not stop looking toward your goal and the positive outcome that you want. Stay conscious and keep looking for the doors and be in truth. Like if we start to play house and decide that like we're just gonna pretend everything's okay, we're gonna make life tolerable even though the thing is terrible, it almost like it just delays that out. It delays us fixing it. And I say all of that with the caveat that like if you are in a situation where there is danger if you confront whatever the issue is, like if you have a higher goal but it requires covert operation, so be it. Know that that is your truth and stay fully aligned with it and know that everything in life is a negotiation and it all of the ways you're working, I'm sure just like stay focused on that hierarchy of like is it worth it or not worth it? What am I compromising? What am I gaining? Be constantly in the active calculation and the awareness of yourself at the wheel of the decision making versus like being at the mercy and being a victim to the situation and being compromised by the situation. I think the frame is so much of it. The frame is so important in how we energetically process something that is challenging to us. So, all of that said, know that like I think a lot of what we choose to do is our body's wisdom, even if our brain is not ready to confront things just yet. So if you are in a situation, allow it to be imperfect. Allow the change to be imperfect at first and know that that is totally okay. Not it might not be flawless, it might not be normal, but like if it's working for you, allow that to be the way it is for right now. We are all unique in our thriving patterns, and we have to move in stages for what our bodies can tolerate at any given time and what our psyche can tolerate at any given time. So the goal is just to allow that little sprout that is attempting to grow through the concrete, just give it a tiny bit of light and make sure it's just growing. If you are struggling to claim a goal in your life and you feel thwarted, like maybe the goal isn't true or it's not right for you, know that the goal inside you wishes to actualize itself and you cannot take yourself out of context. Context is everything. So if you have a harder time performing or you have a harder time reaching that place in yourself, it is likely because you are in the truest sense an artist or a creative person. Like we have these very delicate spigots of creativity and it's they're so dainty. They have millions of nerve endings and it's very scary for us to get to that place of vulnerability. It's very energy drawing, it's very sensitive. So it's just a vulnerability thing. The most important thing is to allow your voice to express itself in small ways or just be creative in any practice, just so that the voice is flowing, just so that expression is coming out of you. And it will change throughout your life. Like what you express will be different at different stages of your life. And it just needs to have a space at the table. So it will become more dominant at certain stages once it's given a platform that feels more appropriate for you. It will change shapes, it will change forms, but it just has to be made respected and important and a valid part of you. So you might find another more approachable conduit for it in another sphere of your life. For me, I used to draw a lot more and I used to act a lot more. And now I podcast and I direct films. And it's not the same, but it allows me to create in a way that feels more accessible, more practical, and it's still creative expression. And when I get into a full state of self expression, there is nothing more gratifying in the entire world. It's so incredibly satisfying. It's like, it's fulfilling on so many levels. All right, the next tool, retraining the trigger or retraining the joy. So, as I mentioned, we're often driven by that hunger, that feeling of emptiness, like our body wants to fill a void. And there will be a degree of compulsiveness to the reaction to that feeling. And I wanted to offer you this reframe for the moments that you were in that hunger response. When we are fully active and embodied, and we place time and energy toward our goal, it is such a vivid, embodied, it's a different kind of feeling. So when you have a moment like that of satisfaction that is fully based in you, that is fully based in who you are, I want you to really tune into the physical energy of that moment and really like remember it, mark it in your fibers. It is the truest feeling of being high and feeling pride and feeling satisfaction. And that is something that I want to mark and just recognize is true. And then the second thing I want you to mark is in the moments that you feel empty, is that feeling of, oh, I have this memory. I have this memory of a time when this was dangerous. Really go into the texture of that feeling and the texture of when was this? When do I remember this feeling from? What, oh, it's the searching feeling. It's the searching feeling. And then the last thing I want you to really tune into in a different mindset is when you're in a moment of fulfilling a trigger with like the whatever coping mechanism that you don't love. That's the moment I want you to super viscerally tune into the feeling of dissatisfaction and regret. It usually happens right after you succumb to a trigger. Your brain will be like, oh, fuck, I actually really didn't want this. And now I've wasted all this energy and time. It's like this huge bummer kind of feeling. We hate it, we regret it, but we often forget it. So I just wanted you in that moment to become super aware of it, like really focus on how much you dislike it. And then this is related to the other one I said, but in the moment you have a feeling of fear, like I might fuck up today, I might not fulfill my goal for today. I want you to set a very achievable goal related to your craft, your art, your whatever it is. And as soon as you have practiced that thing, just close your eyes and tune into the feeling in your body, the sensations you have in that moment. Our body and our soul loves to feel agency, loves to feel effective, feel accomplished, feel empowered, and to have that moment of like, I did it. I set the thing up and I wanted to do it. Like, really go into that joy and dwell in that success accomplishment feeling in your body. Like stretch it out. Focus on it dramatically. Allow it to become more present in your energy. All right. And the last tool is called Focus on Better. This is like a default way to improve. It's just like a super simplified hack for little things where your energy is being stolen from you. Like it's often a sum of many instances. If you feel like I can't get anything done in the area of my script, whatever it is, it's probably the sum of like a lot of tiny decisions throughout the week. And so, one way to tackle the problem is just to look at reduction. Look at one less phone call a day, one less drink a week, one half less, whatever, smoke a night, gummy a night, whatever it is. These are the ways we make change. There is so much energy that is kind of swindled away from us by these like little micro, decisions that we kind of like are like, oh, fine, whatever, okay. And slowly you're realizing that there are repercussions because of what all of those decisions create in your life. I know for myself, this is like a way more achievable way to look at chipping away at a lifestyle is just like a little bit less, a little bit less. And I think one thing that a lot of people do is they just don't even want to open the door to looking at things like this in their life because there's some part of you that thinks, I don't want to lose that crutch. I don't want to lose the ability to be irresponsible. So we just close it off. We don't even look at it. We refuse to even entertain it. But I'm guessing that you've had kind of inklings in the back of your mind of like, is this good? Is this like too much? Is this really where I should be right now in my life? So just allow yourself, let's say it's like kind of defaulting to scrolling. Just allow yourself that tiny millisecond of decision making to think, do I need this? Is this going to make me feel better? Will I enjoy this? Will this make a positive difference if I consume this? And then the other thing I like to do is if it's like something like alcohol, can I wait until 8 p.m. to see if I still want this thing? Or can I wait till whatever time to see if this is truly necessary? Another one is can I try waking up 30 minutes earlier to see how that makes me feel, to see how that makes me feel about my goals and my life? So those are my tools. I hope you enjoyed them. Thank you to everyone that leaves comments in Spotify. I love to read them. I like to read back. I don't know if you've gotten them. I usually get to them like several years later. Apologies. It's hard to find them, to be honest, but I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the reviews. And if you could share this with anyone it could help, that would be great. Or if you want to leave me a review, that would be awesome too. So in closing, I wanted to end this with a plug for dream work. I know there are some people in the world that think dream work is complete hooey, and to those people I say, you're hooey because it's so amazing. Dream work is so amazing. It is, I've gotten so much out of working with my dreams. It is like very similar to channeling. I mean, the amount of insight you can get from a single dream is profound because it's a conversation with your unconscious. I wanted to throw this out because I think it's within reach for everybody. It can be a frustrating language at first, but once you get the hang of it, it changes your life. So I wanted to give you an example from my own life. One of my favorite, most profound dreams I've had recently was this kind of gathering in a temple that represented legacy of excellence in my family, in my lineage. My grandparents worked for Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect Frank Lloyd Wright, and they worked in design. And we had these Mayan ceramic vases at my house growing up. And so this temple was made out of that kind of teal ceramic material. It was like this very cool, weird restaurant club that no one had access to. And all of these figures were arriving. They were all arriving. They all represented different parts of myself. And they were waiting for this artist. They were waiting for Basquiat to arrive. And they couldn't wait to welcome him. And in the dream, every single figure represented a part of myself, and every single figure had so much incredible psychic power to me and like these parts of my identity. So I've since been doing so much work around each person at this party, and they've been a model for a lot of my self work over the course of many, many months. And what this dream represented was this soon to arrive inner artist that has been kind of like kept secondary for many, many years of my life. And so it was this kind of exciting moment for this person to finally arrive. And this dream, waiting for the artist to arrive, these figures who are all parts of me are all core in my identity. This dream changed the way I was thinking about myself and my life and all the parts of myself. It paved the way for some new self-understanding. It was profound. So, all of that is to say, my closing tool for you, I invite you to have the intention tonight, before you go to bed, to welcome forth a growing dream, a dream of growth. Ask, where can I grow creatively? Where can I evolve in myself and my mission for myself and my mission for my life? And just ask the universe or God or whoever the dreams of I don't know, the dream gods, whatever you want to say. Just gift me with a dream to help me grow, to enlighten me. And then as soon as, if you have a dream, it might take a couple days. If you have a dream that has like texture or energy to it, like it feels like you were visited by somebody, that those are the types of dreams that leave like a residue energetically that I always write down. And write it down right away. And write down also the feelings in the dream and all the figures. And even if it's a snippet of it, it's still something you can work with. And I'm going to put a book in the show notes that can help you initiate this process if you're interested. At the most basic level, you can look at everyone in the dream as a representation of a part of yourself. And what can you see from that dream that is true for you? What is the parallel that might not be so evident in your waking life? So I hope you try it. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I send you my love. And don't forget to smile.